Hi, my name's Carolyn and I'm the owner of Carolyn's absolutely fabulous events, and today I thought we'd make some strawberry fruit tarts. So that's going to break down into two different recipes. We're going to do a creme brulee, which is what I use to fill the tarts, and we're going to make a sweet pastry, which is my go-to sweet pastry, perfect idiot-proof recipe that is really great for fruit tarts, but is also really good for lots of other things. So two really useful recipes to have in your repertoire. So we're going to start off with making the custard. Really simple, basically 4 ingredients, and I'm going to show you how to make a small amount because for this we're only going to need a very tiny amount to go inside the tarts. I normally make probably 4 times this amount. It's a great recipe if you're making a trifle, a custard for a trifle, or it would be really good as a filling for profiteroles, or just as a custard to have. The other thing I do with it is I make creme brulee, so where you cook the custards and put the sugar on the top. This for me was just like a complete breakthrough, because I used to have a lot of problems making custard that didn't split if I did it on a standard stovetop method. And I also don't like making a custard where you have to add flour, because I think you can taste the flour. So this one only uses cream, eggs, sugar, and a little bit of vanilla. Sometimes I actually have a vanilla pod in my sugar, so that I don't even need to add the vanilla essence. I find the vanilla pod just gives it a little scent. So very quickly, we just take, for this, this is half a pint or a cup of heavy cream. Pour that in a pan, and we're just going to bring that up to the boil, which is a technical term called scalding. And then in a jug, we are going to take 2 egg yolks, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and just a small dash of vanilla. And once the cream comes up to boil, we're going to just very slowly add this in. In the meantime, if I can show you what I'm going to cook this in. This goes into a 300-degree oven, which is about 150 centigrade. And there's 3 little ramekin dishes here. And that is sitting in an inch of water. So the water stops the custard from cooking too quickly. It sort of keeps the heat constant. And what you're looking for when you've checking to see whether the custard is done, when you move the dish like this, you want to see just a small wobble still in the centre of the custard, because the custard will keep cooking once it comes out of the oven, so you don't want to overcook it. Right, let me see if this cream's ready. So the cream is just beginning to boil, so we take it off the heat and add just a little bit to begin with. This is called tempering, because we don't want to overcook the eggs, so just get that up to temperature. And then we're just going to add the rest of the cream. See if you can do a stirring thing with it as well. And we just start trying to get all the bits of the egg mixed up. Custard equally between these 3 ramekins. And this is delicious just on its own, to be perfectly honest. You don't need to do anything with it. There we are, 3 little things of custard, and that's going to go in the oven. Now I think this should take about half an hour, but it's really going to depend on the size of your container, how deep, how much custard you've put in it. We're going to put it in so you can see that at the moment it obviously is completely wobbly. The very end, only the very center should wobble, and the rest of the custard should be set. So I think for this quantity it's going to take around about half an hour, but I'll probably start checking in about 20 minutes. And you can see, if you kind of shake it, you'll see how much of it is set and how much of it is still liquid in the center. So again, 300-degree oven. So I'm very excited about sharing this pastry recipe with you. This has been something I've been making for, I would think at least 25 years. It's the one I use for all my sweet tarts. as individual strawberry tarts, but if I'm doing any kind of baked tart, then I use this one. And obviously this is what I use for mince pies. So this is my go-to sweet pastry recipe. It was shared by a friend of mine in London, and apparently she got it off the back of a Stork margarine wrapper. So thank you, Stork. So it's 8 ounces of flour, 2 ounces of icing sugar, 1 egg yolk, 1 tablespoon of cold water, half a teaspoon of lemon juice, and 5 ounces of butter. And the butter has to be soft because this is a creamed recipe. Unlike most pastries where you rub in, this one you actually use the mixer and cream it. And how you make this recipe is you tip in sort of half of it to begin with. You can measure it if you want, but hey, it's all going to go in eventually. And again, half of the sugar. And then you add the water and the lemon juice to the egg. Just beat that up. That all goes in. And then you take the butter, the 5 ounces of butter, or 1 1/4 sticks of butter. So we cream that, and then we add the rest of the flour. Tip it all in. And the rest of the icing sugar. And just again, we're going to maybe just use a spatula to push that down the side so it all mixes in. Pastry will ultimately come together. I want to just take it off the beater here. You then just want to get in with your hands and tip it all out onto a floured surface. And then you press it down into a disc like this. And we're just going to get some saran wrap, wrap it up, and that just goes in the fridge for about 20 minutes, just to let it rest before you roll it out. Done. So when it comes out, if it's a little bit cold, leave it a few minutes so that it comes back to room temperature. And we're just going to roll it out. And the way to roll pastry is you have a floured surface and flour the rolling pin. This is my new stainless steel one after I managed to set my wooden one on fire. And roll it out just by giving it a quarter turn each time and applying a sort of constant pressure on the pastry. And we want to try and get it to be around about 1/4 inch thick. I have taken out these pastry tarts. There are only 4 of us. This is a dessert size one. So, but use anything that you have. You could just use a regular cutter and perhaps use like a muffin tin. But I happen to have these ones, and they're quite a nice size. Push the pastry in, and we're going to just cut it down to size, just like this. And do that with all 4 of them. What we do with them is we bake them blind, which means that we put them in a 400-degree oven with no filling. I'm going to prick them all over, and then we'll probably bake them for about 8 to 10 minutes. What I'm going to do is this. Take the pastry cases out of the shells, and they did take around about 9 minutes. I'm going to have custard, which is nicely set. I'll just take a little bit of custard, put that into each of these. Just spread over the base. And then just arrange the fruit on top. Got some blueberries there. Sort of pile them up. So the final thing I'm going to do is just put a little bit of glaze on them. So if you have red currant jelly, that's great, but I tend to just take a bit of strawberry jam and add some hot water to it, and then use the liquid, and it just gives you a little shine on the fruit. So, really lovely pastry, gorgeous custard and delicious fresh fruit with a little glaze, and then you've got a very rather professional dessert, and that really wasn't too hard, was it? Thank you for watching Cooking with Carolyn in my kitchen.